We know good and well that person is not the one, but we are acting out of fear and desperation instead of a place of wholeness and patience. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Heather, and on my channel I talk all about faith-based dating and relationships, how to date with purpose, and prepare for a healthy and thriving marriage. So if you aren't already subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you're a returning subscriber, hello and welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. Also, you can follow me over on Instagram. And let's go ahead and jump into today's video. So I hear from a lot of you guys all the time that one of your biggest struggles when it comes to being single and waiting on God's timing is patience and feeling like you have no idea when it's going to happen. And I can completely relate to that because that was one of my biggest struggles as well as a single woman, waiting on God's timing. And to be completely transparent, it's still something I struggle with in my daily life a lot and just in other areas now. So this definitely isn't an area that I have completely mastered by any means, but I have done a lot of work in this area and a lot of study and just a lot of seeking the Lord and prayer. And I've come up with a few things that I think can help you to wait well in this season. So the first thing that I would remind you of is that there is a time for everything. The Bible talks about this in Ecclesiastes, that there's a season for everything. And it just may be that this season may not be the season for what you're specifically hoping for. It may not be your season to be married or engaged or even in a relationship right now, but it is a season for something. So the question that I would have you ask yourself is, what is God doing in my life right now? What time is it for me in this season? And just know that you don't have to rush it. I know that's easier said than done. I know it's hard when you see all these people around you getting married or having kids or doing the things that you wish you were doing and the things that you desire. But anytime that we try to rush something and get ahead of God's timing, it typically does not end well. And I have definitely been there before, where I rushed into the wrong relationships and the wrong things before it was my time. And it just caused me more heartbreak and more work and possibly even delayed me getting to where I wanted to be. So as difficult as I know it is, I would encourage you not to rush whatever season you are in, but instead listen to God and ask Him what time it is for you right now. What are you supposed to be doing in this time of waiting? And really, you shouldn't be waiting in this season. There's always something that you can be doing, something that you can be working on, something that God has for you right now. Even though you may be waiting to meet someone or to get married, that doesn't mean that you are just sitting around doing nothing and putting your life on hold, right? Maybe it's a season for healing, that you need to work through some past hurts, or maybe it's a season for growth where God is grooming you and preparing you for the next season, preparing you to be a wife or preparing you to be a mother, or whatever it is that He has for you that you are desiring. I heard Andy Stanley say once that you are either single for a reason or you are single for a season. And it could be that you're not ready for that thing that God has for you yet, but it doesn't mean that He doesn't still have it for you. So ask God what season you're in and be careful not to compare your season to someone else's season, because you might be comparing your beginning to someone else's 5 years down the road, and there's just no comparison because they're at a completely different place in their life. And you can't compare because God has you back here at the starting point, and they've already been through this, and this to get to where they are now. And you don't see all of that. You just see where they're at, and that's where you want to be. But you don't know the journey and the process they went through to get to that place. A couple of years before I met my husband, I remember everyone around me was getting married. My sister was actually getting married. All of these amazing things were happening for all of these people in my life who I love dearly. And nothing was really happening for me. I was kind of feeling like I was at a standstill, and none of the desires of my heart were really coming to fruition. And what I realized in that season was that it wasn't my time to have those things or to get married yet, but it was my time to be there for other people. It was my time to be a support and to be an encouragement to them in their season, to help my sister plan her wedding and make that time joyful and easier for her. So it may not have been my time to get married married and to do the things that I felt like I wanted to happen that right then, but that was the season God had me in. And what's funny is this morning I was doing my devotional, and I've been doing one from Christine Kane, and this morning just happened to fit perfectly with what I was planning on filming today. And so I wanted to share a little bit of that with you. She says, every season is an opportunity to let go of more control and place more trust in God. It's easy to get caught in the whirlwind of where we're going, of believing in the trajectory we plan for our lives. But it's so important to trust Him even when we honestly don't want to. That strengthens our hearts and keeps us in a place of living expectant of the unexpected, of anticipating all of the good God has for us in every experience. Faith is believing the truth of God's word over the facts of our circumstances, no longer focusing on how many years have gone by. And I just thought that was so beautifully fitting for what I am sharing with you guys today. So often we get so caught up in the plans that we have for ourselves and exactly how we think things are supposed to look. And we get a little bit controlling, and we want God to do things a certain way in a certain timeline. And He's God. He's all-knowing. He knows exactly how our lives are going to play out already ahead of time, and He knows what is best for us. So we just have to take a step back and rest in that and know that He's a good God who has our best interests in mind. So my next point is to look back at the last time. What was the last thing that God did in your life? What was the last thing that He did come through for you on? Because He will do it again. It can be so easy to feel like nothing is happening in my life. God isn't doing anything for me. He's doing all of these things for everyone else, and I'm just sitting here with nothing happening and nothing good. But if we just look back a little ways, there's usually something that we can think of that He's already done for us, something that He has brought us out of, something good that He has brought us into. So I would just encourage you to think back to the last thing that He's already done for you, and let that encourage your heart. Let that restore your faith in Him. If He did it before, if He brought you through before, then He can do it again. James 1:4 says, let patience have her perfect work, so that you may be perfect and whole, lacking nothing. So I believe that there is actually a purpose in our seasons of waiting. It's a time where God is refining us and preparing us to be the person that we need to be in order to be ready when that desire in our heart does come to pass. And we'll not only be able to receive that desire, but we'll be able to receive it well. We'll be able to cultivate it and care for it properly. And that leads me into my next point, which is that you want to make sure that you are ready. Like I mentioned before, you don't want to run ahead of God's timing and get yourself into a mess. Instead, use this time to prepare your heart so that you don't have to end up waiting again. Sometimes we want something so badly that we try to make it happen before we're actually ready for it, or before it's just the right time. And that's when we end up in bad relationships, or we even maybe marry the wrong person and then we have to go through divorce and all of the heartache involved with that. And then we end up having to wait all over again for the right relationship and go through that process of healing all over again. You don't want to get with the wrong person at the wrong time and go through all of that. I remember wanting so badly to be married when I was 22. I had just gotten out of a serious relationship where we had talked about getting married, and I thought that was the person that I was going to marry. And little did I know that I wasn't actually going to get married until I was 31. And if you had told me at 22 that I was going to have to wait another 9 years, I would have been crushed. But the truth is, I was not ready at 22. I was not ready at 29. God still needed to do a lot of work on my heart and on my mind to get me where I needed to be. And that was just my journey. I'm not saying that that's going to be your journey. It might be quicker for you. Maybe you are already ready and it's right around the corner. But the thing is, God knows more than we do. And if I had gotten married back then, I would have probably either ended up divorced or in a really bad and unhappy, unhealthy marriage. And like I said before, when we try to make things happen or we get to a place of fear, we're letting fear drive our decisions because we just don't know there's going to be anyone else out there. We don't know if it's ever going to happen or if God is going to bring that thing to us. So we rush ahead and we try to make it happen for ourselves. We try to make that person that we're dating that we already see a bunch of red flags with, we try to kind of brush those under the table or explain them away and make this person the one when we know good and well that person is not the one, but we are acting out of fear and desperation instead of a place of wholeness and patience. And I did this when I was 30, just a few months before I would meet my husband, but I didn't know that. And so I got in a rush and I dated someone who was horrible for me, and it was a complete disaster. And then I had to heal from that. And thankfully, God used that to help refine me and to prepare me for my now husband. But if I had just seen and known that just a few months down the road, he would have someone amazing for me, I wouldn't have jumped into the wrong relationship. So again, I just want to encourage you that you never know when it's right around the corner, but you also want to make sure that you are ready when it comes. And I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but my next point is that waiting doesn't mean doing nothing. It just means that we are trusting God and following His lead while we are waiting. Like I said, there's a season for everything. And this may be your season to finish your degree, or to get out of debt, or to travel the world, to go on mission trips, to write a book, whatever it is. Even though it may not be the season for the thing that you're hoping for yet, it is the season for something, and it's not a season of just sitting around and doing nothing. There are always things that God is going to be calling us to and things that He has put in us that we can be working towards in the meantime. And the next thing that I would say is don't let society pressure you. When society starts to make you feel behind, you become anxious and frustrated. And oftentimes that's when you end up stepping outside of God's will for you. Just look at Isaac and Ishmael. Look at Hannah. If you remember the story of Hannah, she was married, but she could not conceive. And her husband went and married another woman and had a bunch of kids with her. And Hannah just had all of these feelings because she couldn't have a baby. And here her husband's married this other woman, surrounded by all of these kids. And she's just praying for God to give her just one child, specifically a son in her case. But if she had to let that pressure get to her and the surroundings get to her, then who knows what might have happened. But instead, she chose to be patient and continue presenting her request to God and thanking Him for it, even though it had not yet happened. So just because you see someone getting married at a certain age or having kids at a certain age or whatever it is that you're desiring that's happening for all of these people around you, don't let that put pressure on you to think that you need to hurry up or that you're behind everyone else, because you have your own story and your own timeline. And like I said, God knows exactly how that's going to look, and it's custom made for you as an individual. So if you have to, just put your blinders on and keep following God and keep your eyes on Him, not on society. And my last point is just to not give up on prayer. I've talked before about how important prayer is and how I think it's important to pray for your future spouse. And I would just encourage you to keep praying for that specific thing that you are desiring and asking God for it, because He tells us to do it in the Bible. He invites us to come before His throne. He invites us to come and knock at His door. And so I would encourage you not to give that up, even if you are feeling hopeless, even if you're feeling like it's been such a long time. Keep praying and come to Him with a thankful heart, full of gratitude for the things that He's already done in your life, and thanking Him ahead of time for the things that He is going to do in your life. And don't forget to come to Him with praise rather than just coming to Him in a transactional way that's just wanting Him to give you something. And I would also just encourage you to look at your motives. What is your reason for wanting a spouse? What is your reason for wanting marriage? Of course, we all want love and we want commitment, but I would just encourage you to look at your heart and ask yourself, do I want this just for me? Am I going to put it before God when I get it? Or is this going to be something that also furthers His kingdom? And don't let the season of waiting change your perspective on God. Hebrews 11:1 says, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. And Psalm 27:14 says, "Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he will strengthen your heart." Wait, I say, on the Lord. So I just want to encourage you that God is still doing something in this season. He's working behind the scenes. So don't let it cause you to lose faith or trust or hope. That's pretty much all I have for this video. I really hope that it encourages your heart. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more faith-based dating advice. And if you have anything to share in the comments about things that help you to wait well, then definitely leave that below. And a couple of last little reminders. I do have a private Facebook group that I would love for you to join. Right now it is just for the ladies, so I'm sorry to the men who have asked to join. Right now this is just for the ladies. But if you're interested in that, be sure to click the link below and I will get you added to the group. And also be sure to join the waiting list for my Worthy of the One Academy. I will be opening the doors to that very soon. If you feel like marriage is around the corner for you and you are wanting to start preparing, then definitely sign up for the waiting list. This will probably be the only time that I offer one-on-one coaching with that, since I do have a baby coming very soon, so you won't want to miss out on that. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, y'all.